Hello and welcome to another Warcraft 3 audio commentary shoutcast slash crowned replay game series thingy of Midjigger Bobbers. Yes, indeed. Today we will be watching. Well, you might just Well, his name is Mojawi ReMinD. Well, his name is ReMinD, but he was playing from Mojawi at the time. This is going to be a game from 1.24. Indeed, it is, and it's Night Elf versus Undead. The map is Twisted Meadows. They're being played for this game is played for a tournament or a league or something called SW maybe. I mean Star Wars. I don't really know. I don't know. But that's what it is. Let's introduce our players. We do have Mojawi ReMinD spawning in as the red Night Elf in the lower left side of the map. This is of course Twisted Meadows. He is of course going with an Ancient of War Creep. And he'll be playing versus FoV, spawning in as the blue undead in the upper right. Of course, we will see FoV going for a pretty classical build that we used to see FoV do fairly often. This is a Ghoul Crypt, Altar Crypt build. And with this build, essentially what happens is you get a couple of ghouls, well, two ghouls technically, a couple is two, yeah. So you get two ghouls, and then you build your shop, and that actually means that your shop comes up right about the time as your altar finishes, which is unfortunate because it takes 60 seconds for a shop to build and 55 for a hero. So your hero comes out and the shop finishes a couple seconds later. It's not a big deal at all by any means. It gets you a faster goal than the other way around, which would be to make a shop and then your zig. So this is actually much better, but some people might notice that and say, hey, it seems like that shop was late. Nope, that's planned, that's how it is. And down here we'll see of course Mojawi ReMinD. He is doing an Ancient of War Creep right here, and what is his hero going to be? It's going to be it's going to be the Demon Hunter. FoV's hero will be the Death Knight indeed. Of course, we're going to see that Acolyte being able to go ahead and take out that Wisp. That had to repair the Ancient of War. If you didn't repair the Ancient of War would have certainly died. So he had to do something about repairing. And unfortunately, we can see him bringing in another Wisp. Maybe he could have ran that one Wisp away and brought another Wisp in sooner, but who knows. And will we see that the XP will go straight to the Demon Hunter, and now we'll see, of course, him picking up the XP for that Acolyte as well, and this Ancient of War is actually going to live. So nicely done by ReMinD, although that was a lot of damage caused by one single Acolyte, I have to say. Here for ReMinD, we will see that there is going to be, of course, a Wisp right there, and here we can see it. He sold his TP, picks up Unholy Aura at level 1, and as you can see, he's got 5 ghouls right there. Here comes the 6th ghoul, and as you can see, that leaves him in pretty good shape at his base. 230 wood, that gives him enough to tech, as well as make a Nerubian Tower if he needs to make a Nerubian Tower, say he gets harassed or something. And of course, being able to tech while you're pushing and doing some damage is really nice as well. Here we can see ReMinD. This is pretty much a lot of what you used to see happen in mostly every single Undead versus Night Elf game for a while. You would just see the Night Elf player essentially creep a little bit with their Demon Hunter and then move straight towards the Undead player's base. And pretty much every time the Undead player would be coming with ghouls, and the Demon Hunter would say, I'm going to, maybe try to do a couple of hits on your ghouls as you run across. Of course, versus Unholy Aura, you have to be a little bit careful of that, so you don't see that nearly as you don't see nearly as much damage going on the ghouls while they're running towards the base if there is Unholy Aura. And that's pretty much one of the two reasons why you go with Unholy Aura first. Essentially, one, you could assume at this point in time, you generally, I don't actually know exactly when this was because 1.2 was 1.24 was a fairly long patch. It had like, it went all the way to like 1.24D in fact, or even 1.24E I think. It's 4 or 5 patches. It was fairly long, and so the Night Elf versus Undead match changed a couple of times during that patch, but I've lost what I was saying. I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, so anyway, stupid brain isn't gonna work. Okay, so anyway, yeah, this is cool. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this, because I love these kind of fights. I like watching them. It's actually really, you might say, oh, well, ReMinD is way behind because there's, there's 6 ghouls and there's only 2 archers, maybe 3 archers. We're gonna see one of those archers will go down to that Death Knight versus, this stuff, just, the Demon Hunter and the Demon, I don't know what I just said, but anyway, yeah, so essentially though, it's actually a fairly well-balanced fight, because even though the ghouls are really super powerful, and here we can actually see the Demon Hunter letting himself get surrounded because he has this immolation. I don't necessarily think he wanted to get surrounded, but he let himself do it because he's like, I think I'll do enough damage to make it worth it if I do get surrounded, and unfortunately it looks like he's going to be forced to TP, but he did actually get a ghoul. Yeah, probably definitely not worth what he did there, but hey, so that's the case. He definitely wasn't trying to get surrounded, but he did, kind of go very aggressive nonetheless, and of course versus FoV, that means you're probably going to get surrounded. FoV's micro, of course, is quite phenomenal. Of course, ReMinD also has quite phenomenal micro as well. I'm not trying to say nothing about that. Don't read into what I say. Don't do that. So you will see Boots of Speed finally getting picked up on the Demon Hunter fairly late. As you can see, it's 2300. Now we're going to see this. That means this school, it's going to go down without a doubt. Of course, it's got a couple archers attacking it, and yeah, there it goes. And of course, we're going to see level 2 now being picked up by the Death Knight as he creeps out this orange camp. That means he will have a coil to go ahead and try to save this school right here. If he can micro those skeletons, and maybe he can keep them alive. No, maybe not. He's going to have to go ahead and try to micro this ghoul and block that Demon Hunter with it. And of course, that's what we're going to see him trying to do right now. And that is a very fast Demon Hunter, as you can see, with that Boots of Speed. And I don't know what's going to happen here. Let's just put it on to the chase cam of the Death Knight, and we'll see if it's going to maybe be able to keep it alive. Oh, he's trying so hard, and it's maybe going to work. Oh, it's so close, but FoV going to go ahead and be able to save that goal from pretty much halfway across the map, running versus a Demon Hunter with Boots of Speed who is actually faster than these ghouls in this Death Knight with Unholy Aura. So very nicely done by FoV. Of course, now we're going to see gargoyles indeed. Gargoyles is, of course, it's FoV, so you're probably going to see FoV going gargoyles. He was one of the last big gargoyle users. I would probably say that was an undead player before he kind of retired. I mean, Lucifer was a big gargoyle player, but of course when he came back, he was, of course, the game had just changed and everyone was using fiends. Gargoyles, maybe if FoV was still playing today and he was still showing us how to Garg, maybe we would still have Gargs. But from what it looks like in the current metagame, it does look like Gargs just aren't nearly as good as Fiends are. So I would definitely say this is probably around the last era. This is probably one of the last big tournament games, maybe even that we actually might even have seen Undead going Gargoyles versus Elf, because I don't know, but I don't think FoV played many more tournaments after this one, because this was pretty late, and FoV definitely quit playing around this time. So this may very well be, this could even potentially be the last game. I don't know. I doubt that, but I really doubt that. I really do. But nonetheless, it's cool. Okay, so let's think about this. Of course, this is pretty much standard when you're playing Ghoul Garg. Your goal is to cancel the lures. You see lots of early harass, lots of early pressure, and then your goal, if you can kill lots of wisps, that's really good. Your goal is to delay those lures. And of course, when you're playing Gargs versus Elf, your whole thing is that you're saying, I've got to stop your wood. That's what it is. You're trying to stop them from having a lot of wood. You're trying to stop them from getting their tech buildings up. You're trying to have a bunch of gargoyles, maybe 7 or 8 gargoyles by the time they get their first lure up. That's your goal. And FoV, of course, one of the players who I would say, for me at least, was one of my favorite gargoyle players that I used to like to watch versus Night Elf players. A lot of people like to call FoV the Night Elf Slayer. Of course, there's lots of undeads that people would call the Night Elf Slayer. It was there for a while. It definitely looked like the undead had the advantage in the matchup. Was that true? Probably for a while, but that was in the past. Things changed. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so as you can see, there is a lore up somewhere. I didn't see. It must be up over here indeed. So one lore did go up because we do see there is a Dryad out. And of course, we do see Panda as the second hero for ReMinD. Panda's pretty good versus Gargs. Now, the second thing, besides the lures that you want to cancel, and of course, this all goes to wood, because not only are you trying to cancel lures, you obviously want to cancel ancient protectors if you can, because your goal is to kill wisps with the gargoyles and over the tree lines, because the wisps have to stay on the tree lines, so you can hide your gargoyles over the trees and they can't get attacked and they kill the wisp and etc. And it's really nice. I'm going to see a nice little coil snipe on that wisp right there. And indeed, let's see, these are going to be these Gargs over here doing some damage to the Moonwell. Essentially, if you can get a Moonwell kill just by occasionally, whenever your Gargs are a little bit idle, just attacking one Moonwell over and over, and they either have to repair it, which means the Wisps then come to you, or, you kill the Moonwell, which is worth it. So it's better than having your Gargs just sitting over the trees. But of course, this time we're just going to see him moving those Gargs around the back, and then going to come over here and try to kill another Wisp. And again, like I said, everything about this strategy that FoV is playing, it's all about the amount of wood ReMinD has, because once ReMinD has enough wood, then he can go tier 3 and he can pick up an Orb of Venom. And once you get an Orb of Venom on your Demon Hunter, that's really, really good for you. And of course, as you can see, every time ReMinD's going to go try to creep, we're going to see FoV's going to try to kind of be a bottom feeder. We will see a Dryad getting staffed out. He's going to try to kill this Archer as well. And as you can see, he's just using his Gargs on the Dryads right there. And of course, we're going to see that some damage being done to the little ow. Ooh, that hurts me in the soul, right in the soul, seeing gargoyles die to towers. And I just heard an Archer die. That kind of makes me feel better, but it's still. We will see maybe a Forest Troll Berserker going down here. Maybe, yes, indeed, we will. Very nicely done by FoV. Of course, ReMinD could have saved that if he ran it away just a little bit sooner, but hey, no one's perfect. So of course, we're gonna see up here if these Dryads are going for these Gargs, and of course, like I said, that's pretty much what we're going to see. Now, talking about the Orb of Venom on the Demon Hunter, that's pretty much really good way to deal with Gargoyles, because Gargoyles are not the greatest. So again, well, Gargoyles aren't very good versus a Demon Hunter. It's a very tanky hero. It's an agility-based hero. Any kind of agility-based melee hero that has an orb that lets them attack air are pretty much always going to win versus pretty much any number of Gargoyles. And the same is true for like any kind of unit, like light air units like that. They just don't do too very well versus agility-based heroes. I mean, if you had maybe 80 food versus the Demon Hunter, then it was just the Demon Hunter, then yeah, I mean, that would be one case. But other than that, yeah, and we're going to see him going ahead and stealing some of that XP with that Demon Hunter. Now, the goal there wasn't really necessarily to pick up XP on his Death Knight. That's great if he can, but the goal is to stop it on this Panda, because once this Panda hits level 3, then it's an even more painful thing to do with these Gargs. These Gargs are not battle units. You can use them as battle units, but they're not that great. And actually, let's take a look. You'll see he has actually gone ahead and pick up two attack upgrades on these Gargs, and I think it's because he wants to have 7 Gargs. Let's see, 6, 7, 8. Oh, he's got 8. Okay. Well, I think what you can do with 2 attack upgrades and 7 Gargs, then 1 volley of your Gargoyle is actually one-shots one of the Wisps, and I think that's why he was doing that. I don't quite remember the exact numbers because it has been a few years, so hopefully you'll forgive me for that. But indeed, that, of course, we're just going to see him now trying to run away, and we should see that he is now Black Citadel. He is indeed tier 3 tech. Here comes the Stone Form upgrade. There's a Slaughterhouse going down as well, and if this game goes into sort of long enough overdrive, then what we'll probably end up seeing as well is at some point maybe even a Frostworm Pit, because what you can do is when you have your bunch of Gargoyles, you can go for the gold mines right there. If you just with your Frostworm, you get the upgrade that makes it stop them from mining their gold, and they can't really do a lot about it. And if there was 5 Wisps inside, they can't leave, so they're stuck. There's 5 Wisps stuck in there. They can't do anything about it. They can't repair it, and you can kill the entangled gold mines pretty easily that way. And we saw a lot of really good games that I'd like to actually cast one day, if I can find them. Because the place that I would have looked for them was replayers.com, and unfortunately, if you don't know, that actually lost all of its replay databases like 2 or 3 times, so a lot of the old replays are just gone from there. But you know, there's other places that have some, so hopefully we can find those. Some really good games though with that. And of course, it's this strategy that we're seeing FoV play right now. One in particular that comes to mind, you may actually have seen it. I don't know. It was a pretty good game. It was pretty popular. Was on Turtle Rock, and I can't remember what it was, but I don't remember the players, but it was so good. Now that's actually, I just realized how vague of a description that was. Whatever. Okay, so over here we're gonna see, of course, FoV is creeping this camp right here. You know, I mean, he's creeping the camp. What are you going to do about it? Pick up a Belt of Giant Strength. Down here, we're going to see there's an expansion attempt coming up for ReMinD. As you can see, ReMinD clears out this little camp right there. That means he has a level 3 Panda. These Gargs are going to try to cancel that Tree of Life. They're going to go for it. Of course, they're probably going to have to back off because there's that level 3 Panda walking over this way. The Dryads, they could have killed it if it was just the Dryads and maybe not lost any Gargs. But, you know, you have a Haze come and then a Fire come, and those Gargs are in trouble. And the problem is they can't really go down anywhere. They can't Stone Form anywhere to heal up around here. Maybe over here, but of course, then they're kind of in danger. And of course, you kind of want to save it as well for whenever you get Haze so that you can Stone Form to dispel the Haze and so that you don't get Breath of Fire. Because if you get Breath of Fire while you're hazed, what ends up happening for you, here it comes, there it is, yep. And you see, for one, that not only does that dodge it, and it's really good, because if you get hazed, you get like a debuff, which is like Haze Fire debuff, and essentially what happens there is you can't dispel it when you Stone Form. So I'm pretty sure about that. I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can't dispel. I'm pretty sure it just sticks on you and does damage, and it's really painful and it lasts really long. But here you can see these guys are Haze fired. It's not actually one debuff, is it? No, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Well, it was a fiery debuff. That's what it was. Yeah. It's been too long since I've seen Gargs. Yeah, I'm talking like an idiot. So yeah. Okay, so anyway, you can see, of course, Claws being passed. A very nice Claws plus 9 being put onto the Lich, and he's trying to pick up some XP on his heroes right here. Of course, you know, again, like I said, all of this is about control, and the problem is, like I said as well, when I said Gargs aren't really a battle unit, you can use them as a battle unit with A-bombs and wagons, and it looks like that might be what FoV's going for in this game, is A-bombs and wagons, as well as Gargoyles. And essentially what you do there is you kind of have like a big mobile army. You use your Gargs sort of as this little force that kind of pecks at the Dryads from the treetops, which is kind of really cool in concept, and it's actually pretty fun to watch, so we might get to see that if the game goes long enough. And because I hope it does, because I do. But I think we'll see that, and I think what we'll see is something else as well. You kind of have this big abomination wall that's just gonna, like, you know, it's like saying you are not gonna run your dryads across this wall. This big abomination wall is going to sit here, and there's going to be meat wagons in the back, and if you try to run, what's going to happen, I was going to run those meat wagons away. My gargoyles are going to swoop down on your dryads. Your hero is going to be not getting him past the panda's pretty big, he's pretty slow, and he's not going to get through my abomination wall. So it's actually lots of really cool things, lots of synergy with abomination gargoyles and wagons. But of course, we will see, as well as FoV is creeping. Well, that doesn't make a lot of grammar, but while FoV is creeping, at the same time, we do have ReMinD creeping as well, which is not good for FoV, because that means these are going to get high level. If the panda hits level 5, then the amount of damage he does to units is really just kind of absurd. Now, we'll see ReMinD picking up a Zeppelin, and there's two reasons for this, but one is it's going to allow him to do some damage over here if he wants to drop in on this base. Two, it's going to allow him to come over here and see if there's been an expansion put up. Of course, he can also cast Reveal. But if he has a Zeppelin, he can do this as well as that. And of course, you can generally tell if there's going to be an expansion coming up just by the number of ziggurats over here and the timings. I don't actually know what the timings are, but you know, ReMinD probably did, because he's pretty kind of good at the game. Of course, we're going to see a TP coming in from FoV right now. One of those ziggurats has been canceled. I'm not sure how many acolytes died. And of course, great spot for that TP for FoV. And we're just going to see a dry going down, one dryad getting staffed out, and of course a TP being burned. Now that is the haze fire. I swear that I saw the fire buff, but it wasn't that time. It was last time. I'll have to look again next time. I'll have to have a closer eye, or faster fingers or something. Here we will see ReMinD has put up a tree of life right here. It's going to go ahead and he's got to creep this out, but he's going to come up here with that. Maybe let it tank a little bit, maybe not. We'll see. It looks like he's going to let that tank by pulling out these dryads towards it. And unfortunately for FoV, once again, this was actually not caught by him. So gargoyles, I've said it before, but I was against human players. But really, it's the same versus all races. Gargoyles are amazing at canceling buildings that are being built. But once a building has gone up, they're not that great. And of course, that means this building has gone up. It's not that great. Of course, they aren't too bad versus it if it's uprooted, because then it has heavy armor instead of fortified. But of course, it's not. That's not going to really matter, because it's not going to be caught there either. Of course, over here we can see there is an ancient protector. There's no wisp surrounding it. It looks like maybe FoV has actually been killing this. It looks like that's exactly what's been happening. We can see a couple of them have moved over there, but that's not really a huge deal. And of course, that one that just came over here is going to now build up a Moonwell. We will see level 4 on the Panda, and the Demon Hunter also at level 4 himself. Over here we can see the Death Knight on level 4 and the Lich at level 3. So now, of course, with Gargoyles, if you don't know, this is a pretty easy camp to creep. It's a level 10 Dragon, 2 level 3s, and then 2 little guys you can creep with just your heroes pretty easily as well. And you get 2 great items. You can get some really nice items. Essentially, you can get things like the Scroll of Resurrection. You can get Potion of Divinity. You can get the Animate Dead. So essentially, just a bunch of different ults. It's really nice. We'll go ahead and see that the Lich is going to go ahead and Dark Ritual one of these gargoyles. Now you can say that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does actually if you think about it. One, a potion of mana, right, is 200 gold, and a gargoyle is 185 gold, and it's like 40 wood or 35 wood or something. So it's really, the wood's not really that much of a concern. You have a bunch of ghouls and stuff. See, he's going to make ghouls for frenzy ghouls, so you might as well. We do have a sacrificial pit going up for FoV, and we actually have a creep jack coming in onto FoV's from ReMinD right here, and that's going to force FoV to run away. FoV's really not looking to fight right now. Of course, ReMinD, he's looking to fight. As you can see, he's chasing, he's fighting. This abomination, unfortunately, will probably go down, and we're probably going to see even a mana burn being cast on this Death Knight. Indeed, 100 mana gone right there from that Death Knight. This abomination now, unfortunately, there's nothing he can do about that, and there's, of course, that Orb of Venom on the Demon Hunter, and the mana burn coming in on the Lich as well. So we can see this is not too great for FoV losing an abomination like that, but he will come in here. He canceled a building. Maybe it was a Moonwell, maybe it was a shop, maybe he killed a shop, I don't even know. But then he's going to just keep on running. Hopefully he won't lose the Obsidian statue, but it does look like that's what's going to happen here. And of course, there's really not a lot FoV can do to save that. That statue's the Demon Hunter is very fast, and he does have mana burn. He can keep mana burning. So even if you block him, he's just going to mana burn the statue, and that'll still kill him, as we just saw. So over here we can see there are the gargoyles left for FoV, and of course they're still at 2-0. That Panda sitting here saying, "You want to bring those guards into my base? You want to bring those guards into my base?" And FoV's like, "No, I won't." And that's what happened there. I think. We see ReMinD coming up here. He's looking to see where the Death Knight and the Lich went. He's like, "Oh, it's not here. Maybe I'll creep this out with just my Demon Hunter. Maybe I won't, actually." He's like, "Oh, you got my bear. I better come." And the bear is going to go down. Level 5 will be picked up by the Death Knight. Of course, level 3 still on the Lich. Very close to level 4, though. And once he hits level 4, that means level 2 Dark Ritual. And then the Gargs are just like little walking mana, or flying mana batteries, actually, as it were. Over here we can see these Gargs saying, oh, well, you know, I know that I've been kind of doing something with your army a little bit, so maybe, you know, maybe, just maybe, you don't have that panda in here anymore. And then that's definitely the case. He's going to be able to see that panda coming in, so he's going to maybe try to run away, but, oh, is he going to get the... Yeah, let's see. Yeah, there it is. There it is. The Breath of Fire. Yeah, as soon as it's been hit by Breath of Fire, will take damage over time. That's only because of the haze, because otherwise, normally, that's not the case. So I was right. There is a debuff. It's just called Breath of Fire, which is kind of really odd, but whatever. It doesn't matter. So... here comes, unfortunately for that Lich, he did use Dark Ritual on those guards, and that's not just going to be wasted by this demon who's just going to go ahead and say, I'm just going to mana burn you. And that's the case. Now, the issue that I would say for FoV at this point is that he could really, he's got these gargoyles, and he's crept a lot of the main base, but there's these 4 islands that he can get really great items at and a bit of experience, get that Lich up to level 5 really in no time, and if he picked up a 3rd hero, he could get that up to level 3 as well, pretty easily just by creeping those 4 reds with those 2 heroes and having the Death Knight kind of chilling out by, or maybe even harassing with the Death Knight or something like that. And yep, there's the Boneyard. Of course, that's probably why he's got all these extra goals right here for wood. He needs to have those for Boneyard. Of course, you can see FoV has broken up. He's at 665 food, and he's got 700 gold left in his gold mine. Now, of course, that means about the same over here. 200 gold left for ReMinD. I'm not exactly sure why there's a 500 gold disparity there. Oh, that's right, because the panda came in here as well. There was that drop by ReMinD back here and kind of screwed things up for FoV a little bit. But that means FoV really needs to go for an expansion. Down here we can see ReMinD is picking up another expansion. Hopefully we'll see FoV actually go ahead and cancel that. And another thing to talk about, you can see how these Dryads have taken a lot of damage. That's pretty much just because of the fact that they decided to kill that one abomination. It gave them a disease or something, and it took a while for that to get away, to fall off, and of course it did a lot of damage over time. In the meantime, we'll see that ReMinD is working on getting 5-5 right here from this creep camp. Not going to be quite 5-5 from this, but he will be getting fairly close, so he's working on it, and that's a nice red camp. What item did he get? Oh, he got an Orb of Darkness on that panda that essentially allows him, it's like Dark Arrow from the Dark Ranger. Over here we can see it looks like FoV's actually gone ahead and said, I'm going to creep this. And ooh, a Spiked Collar, that does allow him to summon a Fellstalker. And a Fellstalker actually has mana burn. And then there's a replenishment potion, which is kind of a cruddy item. But usually you get one good item and one cruddy item. So hey. And of course, a nice micro just creeping that out with those gargoyles right there. Now he does need to come over there with a Zeppelin or something to pick up those items, because those items are worth having. And here we can do see a Frostworm is also coming up. We do see here comes those meat wagons, the Abomination line. Of course, now this is the sort of situation, a strategy that works really well on say a map like Turtle Rock, kind of going back to that earlier, what I said earlier. But because there's those choke points, and when you can have choke points, you kind of choke with your Abominations. You have your wagon in the back. Essentially, it works pretty well. It does. But of course, FoV, he's out of gold. He doesn't have any gold mine left. He's saying, this is pretty much all I got. I don't know if I really want to go for an expansion. He can't really afford one. He'd have to start on summoning stuff, selling items, etc. And he could do that, but he'd have to get a Zeppelin first. He could come over there and get those items as well. And then maybe take an island expansion. That would help. But of course, we do see ReMinD sitting on this expansion right here, and on this one right here, as well as his main has moved down to this one right here. So 3 gold mines for ReMinD, unfortunately none for FoV. So FoV is saying, I don't know, but I think I can win with just my army. He thinks, so let's look at his food count. We do see he's at 73 food, and ReMinD is sitting at 79. If we look at the upgrades, you can see that ReMinD is sitting at 1-0. Where is his Hunter Saw? I think it's over here. And there it is. He's coming in with that 1-1 upgrade. Of course, FoV is sitting on 2-0 for his ranged units and no upgrades for those melee units. Over here we can see this fight's going underway. It doesn't look like there's going to be a TP coming in from ReMinD, but ReMinD is pretty close, so he might decide to come up here and defend this. Or he might say, you know what, I don't really want to wait or fight that. Those are 2-0. What I'd rather do, because I have other bases, what I'd rather do is simply say, what I'll do is, maybe try to take a better positioning here. It looks like that's the case, and just back off and let him have that 1 gold mine. It's not a big deal. Of course, this fight is going underway right now. Of course, we're going to see a lot of damage immediately being done to that Panda Brewmaster. We're going to see those guards going ahead and stone forming to try to dispel off the haze, and we do see that Demon Hunter chasing straight on to the Lich. We're going to see, of course, a couple one Dryad getting staffed out, and these Frost, or the Gargoyles are going straight for these Dryads. Of course, we're going to see one that did actually get rejuvenated. It was the next in line from FoV's rally, and ReMinD said, I know that's what's coming, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that's actually cost a lot of time for FoV for killing those Dryads, and that actually kept quite a few Dryads alive, just that one rejuvenation. That was really smart, and bought some time for haze, and so those guards could have actually maneuvered further away from the panda, but they couldn't that way because they just kind of were. That was all, that rejuvenation just messed everything up for FoV right there. But just on the dry line, of course, what we did see ultimately is that ReMinD was forced to TP. If we look, we can see ReMinD sitting at 66 food and FoV sitting at 68. Of course, one of those meat wagons is fairly well damaged, so a bit of an issue potentially if that goes down, because that's doing a lot of damage for him. Of course those do. We will see that panda getting very, very close to level 5. We're maybe going to see him even go down right here, because he is currently going for a haze on the stone, or on the gargoyles, but we will see a stone form. The panda getting halved out at just about 100 life, and we're going to see now this fight going pretty well, it looks like, for FoV, but he's going to run into moonwalls here in just a moment. It is daytime, however, so there's only going to be what is currently there, and of course without any kind of dispel, that rejuvenation is going to be so good, and of course we're going to see that dispel being, or that rejuvenation being amazing on the demon hunter. Is the panda back in here yet? It doesn't look like he has actually staffed back in, and of course he got staffed to a base down there at the bottom. We will see the demon hunter actually going down. He tried to pick off a meat wagon right there, and if this bear micro is just a little bit better, he'll get that meat wagon as well. And now we do see the panda is actually currently being attacked right now by a froststorm as well as these guards, so there's no way he can actually get away. The staff is on cooldown, and the panda goes down as well. FoV is sitting in really good position right now. We will see both of those meat wagons going down to bears at this point. And if we look at ReMinD's gold count, we can see he actually canceled a unit or something that was being made. I don't know. Here we can see a demon hunter is trying to come out of the altar right now, and all of these units are coming over here maybe to try to go ahead and pick up the panda as well. Yes, indeed, here comes the panda being taverned back. He does have that potion of greater mana. Gonna come over here and cast a haze fire, maybe. No, just gonna cast a breath of fire, knowing that he needs to get away from this because there is still lots of mana on that lich, as well as a froststorm, and if that froststorm hits this panda, he's in trouble. He does not have boots of speed. Oh no, is he gonna go down? He could potentially go down. We're gonna see another haze fire coming out of those gargoyles, and once again stone form going to be able to dodge it, and of course we're gonna see that panda dying once again. Quite a bit of gold lost for ReMinD at this point, and of course FoV was able to pretty much tell that there was an expansion right here. He's it's probably your main, you're just not over at your base, I'm gonna guess. And so he comes down here, he's like, I'm gonna kill this, and we're gonna see him death and decaying the Tree of Eternity. That will kill it in about 30 seconds, and we're gonna see these guys over here just going for the entangled gold mine. You don't really want them in the range of that death and decay, because that death and decay will hit your own units and do some damage. You don't really want that. And of course, as you can see, it's kind of centered over here, and so that's nice. Of course, now that means FoV is down to this gold mine right here, and there's a moonwell over here. So we have FoV with that moonwell scout. There's still some units being pumped out right there, and it's kind of odd because the demon hunter is going to alter revive right there from that. So maybe we're going to see him going down as well, but it doesn't look good for ReMinD whatsoever. He has managed to tavern back his panda, it looks like. Indeed he has. And will that demon hunter actually make it out of this altar? It looks like it should be able to. There's not a lot of mana currently on this panda, and actually has picked up 2 staffs of teleportation. One of those he definitely wants to give to the demon hunter, it looks like, when it comes out. And I think he just is going to maybe try to go for some base race here, because he does have that 1 expansion still, and he can still pick up items. And of course now you can see it looks like FoV, I'm not sure why he's not just chasing. It looks like, yes, the demon hunter has popped out at this point. And will he lose his lich? Because that would be quite devastating. There's enough mana for a coil. It looks like he should be able to get it in there in time, and indeed he will be able to. Indeed, I say it indeed. Sorry, I know I say it a lot sometimes, but yeah. So now this is an interesting situation for FoV. He could potentially still kill these 2 heroes. I mean, they do a lot of damage to his army. If he had full mana on his Lich and his Death Knight, I think he would be fine. Totally fine right now, but the problem is that there is actually a gold mine running for ReMinD at this point, and we're going to see him going ahead and throwing up a shop. He still has 2 lures down, so FoV is still fighting an uphill battle. Maybe he does have a superior army. As you can see, he's sitting at 49 food, but ReMinD is sitting at 44, so as soon as these 2 dryads pop out, ReMinD's army is going to be pretty much on par. And of course, ReMinD also has 2 very good heroes that are very great at picking off these gargoyles, very good at stopping the nuke, because of course you have mana burn, which is going to be level 3 at this point, which means 150 mana burned each time, which, as you can see, that's all the mana that the Lich has right now. Of course, that Obsidian statue is also out of mana, which is definitely not good. We probably can see, if we look over here, got lots of stuff being unsummoned. FoV trying to pick up some items. We're going to see that the panda going to take some damage, maybe, but there is, of course, a staff of preservation on the demon hunter, I think. Yeah, there is, but he's just going to staff the panda over here using the staff of teleportation, because if you can, it's actually better to use that staff of teleportation, because, you know, the staff of preservation is instant, and so, you know, that's always better, plus it would have forced him all the way over here, and he would have had to pop the staff of teleportation anyway. So, you know, now FoV at this point just needs to find that expansion. I think if he finds the expansion, he takes it down, I think he'll be in good shape, but it's right over there. Picks up 2 scrolls of healing on the Lich, probably gonna, and one on the Death Knight as well. So he's got some great items right now for his undead army, and it looks like he's going to come over here and maybe try to commit to a clash, but that is a lot of Dryads. As you can see, ReMinD sitting at 50 food, now 1 supply higher. Of course, that's you know, wisp count and stuff doesn't really matter, but you can see a nice early breath of fire there. We can see, looks like a lot of mana on these heroes. Going to see the mana burn being cast onto the Death Knight. Here comes that rejuvenation on the Demon Hunter, and he does have a potion of lesser invulnerability. He's going to go ahead and pop that. Going to see a haze on the Gargoyle is going to force him to stone form to dispel it. There comes the breath of fire, and will we see another one of these scrolls of healings being popped here in just a moment to try to keep those alive? This fight could be the deciding factor of the game. Here comes another haze. Stone form unfortunately is on cooldown. Got to try to keep those guys away from the haze fire. Unfortunately, a breath of fire did hit, looks like 3 of them, and it might even go ahead and be enough to kill them. You can see these Dryads trying to stay alive using these Moonwells just barely. Will that Demon Hunter actually go down? It could potentially die right there. How much mana is on these heroes? There's actually no mana, so it looks like they're going to have to try to kill him with auto attacks. And as you can see, a very nice choke by ReMinD with that building. We'll see a Dark Ritual be cast on the survivor, the remaining life of that abomination, giving 400 mana, about 400 mana, 450 mana to that Lich, which is great. Here we can see the Death Knight chasing the Demon Hunter. He will actually get to this Moonwell though, and as you can see, since he had a lot of mana already, that's going to heal him up quite a bit, and that is a 425 Moonwell juice mana. So that's actually really good. Here we can see now this fight going underway. Here comes that Lich. Probably going to see another mana burn being cast onto the Lich, and indeed we're going to see that Death Knight staffing out, or I'm sorry, the Demon Hunter staffing out, and indeed he's going to be able to come over here and hit these Moonwells, and he should be fine. Or if there's a bear up, he might just wait. And unfortunately that means that, yeah, ReMinD says, oh, or FoV says, oh, looks like I've lost. Good game, well played. And so ReMind's like, yay. He's like, I won. And so that's the game. ReMinD winning by that one hidden expansion. If FoV had only scouted it, oh, but you know, that's life. That's life. I don't even know if that would have made a difference or not, but it might have, it might not have, you know. Maybe FoV should have went for an island expansion at that point. I don't know. But it was a great game. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I will see you next time.